I hope it's not going sideways. If this is going sideways, somebody tell me. All right, this Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Today is the 22nd, I think, Monday, anyway, and it's April. And we put these guys out Saturday, all right? And we did not move them yesterday. Today is going to be their very first move. And you can see Keith is moving the tractor forward to the next position. Okay, and the first time you move them, the birds are not all that smart, and a lot of times they don't get out of the way. But he did pretty well. These guys are okay. Now, and I'll just let you see him move the next one. I'll let you watch that process. Try to keep my mug out of there. Let's see. He's got to kind of train them. A little further there. No? Okay. I guess he made a command decision. Okay, there's a couple things that have gone on here that I want to explain. They were on the field for it'll be Saturday afternoon and then Sunday. We had a great tour Saturday, by the way, until I got the tractor stuck with a whole bunch of people as far away as you could be. So everybody got to take a nice walk. But there's a couple things going on here. Now, when he moves these, you don't want to run the birds over. These birds, they get to know us, sort of, and you actually train them, so they're going to know that when he's moving them that there's going to be fresh grass, and they really start to like fresh grass. So every day they come to the front of the tractor, and then when he will move that, they'll go for the fresh grass immediately. The very first time you move them, sometimes you got to have a helper back here to shoo them along, and if you need to do that, sometimes a paper bag that you just rattle will move them away. This has to be done by hand, all right? Because if you moved a machine at the front there, they would be afraid of it, and they would go to the back of the tractor. And then the machine running, you couldn't hear when you run one over because they squawk a certain way. And when we run them over occasionally by hand, we've never had a time when they didn't recover from it. It happens and they squawk, so you stop and you go to the back of the tractor and you pick it up and they get out. And the only way that they're going to have fatality is if you don't check or you don't hear them, and then you just do a quick move and the tractor's on them. But then I want you to see what is left behind. Left behind. See that? There's a nice even layer of chicken manure. And I see a little heart there. People love chicken manure. Chicken manure is underrated. It's really underrated. It's good stuff. It shouldn't be used as a slam. That's anyway. I mean, instead of saying that's awesome, you could say that's chicken shit. No, you could. I would understand it, and I think my viewers would understand it. But there's a nice layer of chicken manure that's been laid down here, and as I've said before with the brooder, when we move that, you might think, wow, that's going to be really tough on the grass, but you wait and see. I'll try and get back here and look at it again in a few days and show you what has happened. The ground is in a symbiotic relationship with the animals. I think that's why they were both made for each other. And the ground enjoys being crapped on. It enjoys it. as long as there's not too much. If you go too wild with it, that's a bad thing. And as I've explained before, in industrial agriculture, these birds would be in some sort of house, and then that manure has to be scooped up, and a lot of times they'll put it in a slurry so they can spray it on the field, and they have to be very, very careful because it can burn the ground in that form very easily, so they have to be really careful with it. I can tell you we got 150 birds between these two. I cannot smell them, and I'm standing right behind them, and I have a slight wind coming this way. What I can smell is I mowed the lawn up here last night in the dark. I can smell that, and it smells really nice. And what's nice about this configuration, this place where we're doing this year, is I take care of this lawn. And it's a kind of a break in between the produce area and then this sow pen. And if we ever need to do something up here, you know, have a game of catch or badminton or a wedding or a bar mitzvah or whatever, there's enough room up here to do that. And it's a really pretty location. All right, we've set tents, big tents up there, and done things. Like if politicians wanted to come and see Baker's Green Acres, I mean, that would be a good place for them to have a fundraiser. Let's say some politician that's going to run for governor, let's say. That would be a good place to do that. Plenty of parking, beautiful. All right. But where I'm going to be taking care of this with a mower, I'll be able to get right behind these guys and mow, and you know, the clippings will be right in that manure, and I think it will be a really great thing. I think the ground will really benefit from it. What you're seeing here right now is something we have to fix. Those tractors are way too far apart, so when Keith comes back, I'm going to move it much closer. Another time when we're picking them up, I'll show you how we do that, but the tractors provide a corner where the birds get kind of bunched up, and then we can put them in crates when their time has come and they're going to be going up to the shop. And we do that at night, so that video will be kind of different. We'll have to get the lights out or something for that. Okay, Keith just went up to get some feed. These birds are doing great. We've only lost 14, I believe, is the number. And when you start birds really early in the season like we did, you're up against a variable of temperatures, and they're very, very small, and they're susceptible to a lot of different things. I don't recommend keeping them in your house, just because there's so much stuff they can pick up in the house, believe it or not. I recommend well, the brooder that we built, I recommend you build one just like it. You know, I think that's the way to go. If they're on ground, even when it's very cold out and you can keep them warm, there's a huge benefit to them being able to access the ground and the dirt. There's tons and tons and tons of microbes in there that will go into their systems, into their gut, and they can get the most out of their feed to protect their little bodies from any kind of diseases that might be going around. Okay, well, here comes Keith back. He makes the most of his motorcycle. We still have these guys on some bagged feed just because we picked up a good deal at the end of the season last year. But we will be getting our feed from a mill that we use over in Mayo, and it's we use a non-GMO meatless feed. And again, I want to talk about this raw protein deal. The reason we use a vegetarian feed, these birds are omnivores, but the problem is if we use a non-vegetarian feed, we're going to be getting commercial chicken refuse that's ground up and made into this raw protein. And with that comes a lot of problems, and so we just don't want that. And so I'm not an advocate of, so Purina, I'm sorry, I can't take your advertising dollars on here on my YouTube, but I'm not an advocate of hog chow or chicken feed. I'm sorry, I'm not. If it's got raw protein in it, we're just not going to use it. We've had too many problems with it. Even animals that have come here that have had it, we've gotten problems out of them. So, okay, I'm going to cut it off right here. This is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Please visit our website, bakersgreenacres.com. Got plenty of pastured poultry ready to go. If you would like to come to our tour next Saturday, I haven't checked the weather. This one was really fun. We had a great time. We had about 10 people. It was a really good time. I met some really nice folks. Please come check us out. 1 o'clock. Don't be late. And don't bring your dogs with you. Okay? We'll go sit in the car and roast.